reminded people. Okay.
Okay, so when you were younger in school, did you guys ever realize like the one, or not the one kid, but the few kids that kind of acted a little strange, maybe a little hyperactive, those couldn't really pay attention well, so they're staring off to space for absolutely no reason. And also maybe they were just kind of like saying stuff that wasn't appropriate for the situation. Most of the time, those kids had ADHD. And ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and it affects 11% of children according to Medical Health America. And 80% of that 11% carry ADHD into their adolescence, and into adulthood, only 65% will be affected. So for ADHD, it affects, this is just like a little pie chart, not really, but it just shows you the amount of like teens, 20s, 30s of how much are really affected. This is just another thing other than Medical Health America. The main areas that I'm going to be focusing on will be like at home, school, work, so kind of like main daily routine. At home, it's going to affect you, like say if you're cleaning, it affects me personally, for like I'll be cleaning a room and all of a sudden I'll get distracted and I'm cleaning another room. So you become kind of like a multitasker expert on cleaning, and you end up realizing like you have one portion in every area and then you just kind of go back around and keep circling. So it's kind of like watching a dog at a park chasing birds and squirrels, and then realizing that there's other dogs, so they chase them as well. Also, you become more frustrated, so when you realize that you cleaned a little portion of every room, you kind of get frustrated, and it's uncomfortable. It gets uncomfortable, so that's kind of like the impulsivity part. At school, most kids with ADHD have trouble focusing on their work or during lectures, which are why most lectures in an elementary school are now kept to a 30-minute minimum, according to healthychildren.org. And most kids also, like with the impulsivity part, they want to have their first turn, they want to be the one with the first turn, or they want to have the last word. So most likely, like if you're fighting with a kid, they're going to try and just keep coming back at you. Another impulsivity part is with their aggressiveness. The main things that they love to do is hit, kick, and bite. And I've been a victim of that. I've been bitten many times by my two nieces that have ADHD. They love to bite. With their hyperactivity, they're mainly the kids on the playground that love to run around in circles, and that's mainly like the preschool kind of age. For middle-aged children, they kind of want to kick around. They're a little bit more aggressive as well, but it's not as aggressive as when you're like in elementary school. For work-wise, you kind of like get frustrated with criticism, so if someone tries to give you like help or other ideas for a project you're working on, it gets frustrating and you don't know really how to deal with that, and I deal with that personally too. So like people try and like help me at work, and I'm just like, no, don't. I got this. And then from New Hope Media, they also have noticed that those in work with ADHD have a problem with deadlines. Like people love to come up with new ideas, but as soon as they're given a deadline, it's really hard for them to meet that deadline. Those with ADHD also have a problem prioritizing their work. So they'll want to start this project, but they'll start like something else, and then they'll realize like, oh hey, like I need to continue this. And then their like time management skills are completely scattered. And that kind of leads into the prioritizing as well. So, like I said, being affected with ADHD definitely, like, it hurts around your home area. So, like, your parents get frustrated because you can't focus really well. At school, parents and other children don't really other children don't understand the concept of ADHD, so they don't really know how to like cope with the other children that do have ADHD. They just automatically point out that they're weird, according to also Newhope Media. And then at work, it's still frustrating because deadlines are a huge thing and they're really hard to meet. So ADHD really does affect everyday routine.
All right, Junior, what did you think?
I think it was a pretty good subject. Every point was well explained. Your introduction was really good too. I like the way that you put your own experience on each point, and I think you just got lost in the beginning, but after that it was really good. It was you saw that I'm comfortable, and you started talking, and it flows really good. Everything.
All right, well, I'm going to agree with a few of those things and maybe be a little bit different on a couple of them. I thought that, let's start with one thing that I definitely agree with, and that is that you do a nice job kind of describing some of the behaviors that people who are suffering from ADHD go through and some of the difficulties that they have completing a particular task. I heard references 3 times to the one source, and I think there was another source that you used in the speech. So it sounds like there's some research in it, but it doesn't always get cited like direct quotes. We're often getting paraphrases and summaries, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I think you probably need a little bit more information to go along with what you've got. The descriptions that you have, I think people will be able to relate to and understand some of the things that you're describing pretty well, because it's easy for us to imagine working on that cleaning project, for instance, and getting distracted. And I immediately, when you talked about the dog getting distracted by the squirrel, I immediately understood what you were talking about. Oh, there's this over here and there's that over there, and you're chasing your tail in 7 different directions at once, and so that becomes an issue. So I thought that your descriptions were really helpful. The explanations need to be a little bit clearer. Why does this occur? What is it that's going on here? Is there anything that could be done about it? I think it might need to be a little bit broader in terms of what you're covering, because it's right now it feels like it's merely a description of what the problems might be faced by people in different contexts. I also think that there's kind of a preview, and I get it and understand it best because of the summary at the end of the speech rather than the material at the beginning of the speech setting it up. It sounds to me like you were talking about issues at school, issues at home, and issues at work. But in the body of the speech, it just seemed a lot more random than that. It didn't feel like it was structured that way. At the end of the speech, I've often said this, people sometimes help themselves a little bit by having an effective conclusion, and I think yours helped a little bit that way. I can go back and say, okay, I can kind of see how those things fit together. If it was a little bit stronger at the beginning and then easier to follow in the speech, I think that it would be more meaningful and feel a little bit less like we're just getting random descriptions of things. And that's the thing that I had a problem with. When you described it as a pie chart and you were a little iffy about describing it as a pie chart, I wanted to jump up and say donut chart, because that's basically what it looks like. It's the same thing, though it's divided into percentages. That's the only visual that you really have there, and there's probably some other statistical information. If the subject had been a little bit broader and you'd done a little bit more kind of in-depth research on it, like I'm thinking the impact that it could have on people's grades or their ability, the treatments that are available, the way that people try to address those kinds of things. There probably is some research about those sorts of things that would include statistical information that could be visualized, or even a descriptive process that you could go through. As it was, it just felt like it was a little bit thin on that kind of explanation. All right, thank you.